All right, guys, welcome back to Boots Come in Pairs. We got another special guest this week, longtime friend as well, another high school baseball player with us, Nick Guenther. He works for the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers, which is a Brewers affiliate. So just a lot of fun to get his perspective. He's working in baseball, which is cool. Probably something we all wish we could do. Well, okay, I won't say I could do that if I wanted to. The level of commitment it would take for me to do it, it's just not worth it. But it's cool that he can do it, and it's part of his passion, and we're just really grateful to have him on. And also, our first subscriber ever was Nick Guenther. So, yeah, just great to have him on.
Props.
One of the
Hashtag
10
first.
or something, but absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, honor to have you on, my friend. Like Brandon was saying, we've known Nick for a very long time. Nick and I have known each other since we were 12, like playing in Lakeville baseball against each other. High school baseball teammates for 4 years. He played golf with Brandon as well, multi-sport athlete. Great athlete, even better teammate. Really enjoyed sharing the diamond with you. And it's been probably 15 years since we've seen or talked to each other, which really sucks because I consider you someone who's I consider you to be a good friend. We always got along really well. We always had great conversations. And yeah, it's just really exciting to talk to you again, see you again, listen to your baseball journey. And yeah, I guess how we want to start this off, I guess being a kid, growing up in Lake County, how did you fall in love with the game of baseball? Before we kind of dive into your career and what you're doing now.
Sure. Yeah, thanks guys for having me on. Big fan of you guys and your show. It's pretty cool to listen to. You guys are, like I said, an encyclopedia of baseball knowledge, and it's awesome to listen to because I'm a baseball junkie like you guys. I'm a stat head. I love diving into the numbers and talking players. Ryan, when you were just introing right there, it reminded me of our times goofing around in the back of the bus during our high school road trips. We had some good times joking around in the back of the bus with Adam Ticker. I still keep in contact with him.
Oh my gosh. Playing Love in This Club by Usher on his phone, on his like flip phone.
Yeah, I'm sure any high school baseball player that's a highlight is the bus rides and how fun that was.
Yeah, for sure.
And then pitching against you in Lakeville baseball, you were a tough out. I remember that to this day. Just a contact hitter, slap lefty, fast, turns singles into doubles. That's so. As you were thinking about or talking about Lakeville baseball, that's what I was thinking of, man.
You know what?
It was funny because I was talking to Dad this week. He still gets fired up about when we were in Bronco and when we lost the championship game to Don Snelton. He gets so mad about it. It's hilarious. So yeah, those things don't go away, Nick.
Yeah, well, to speak to what you just. Oh, dude, Lakeville baseball was so much fun. I mean, I have so many fond memories, and like that was really like our first introduction to baseball. Brandon and I didn't after T-ball. We didn't play baseball until I was first year in Bronco, and Brandon was second year in Mustang. So like we had gone a long time without playing organized baseball. We were just killing it in our backyard, hitting bombs over the porch. And but yeah, Lakeville baseball. I mean, I appreciate the compliments, but I will return it as well. Facing you was not fun. You threw hard. You had a lot of movement. Even as like a 12, 13-year-old, you had an arsenal. And the curse to being a really good player when your dad wasn't a coach was that you had to play on a lot of not so great teams. And some of those teams you were on, but like you were a one-man wrecking crew on some of those teams. And yeah, you were a tough out as well and a tough pitcher to face. And yeah, I mean, great memories. And it's just crazy that all started like 20 years ago. And here we are now talking about baseball together in January of 24.
The only grudge
wild.
The only grudge I have with Nick is that he used to tell me that I should swing harder in golf. Well, let me tell you, I can hit it further now, Nick. Don't worry.
Yeah, I can crush it too. But I remember that. Yeah, we had some good times after school and golf practice, Brandon. That was one of my favorites. But yeah, I can go into a little bit about what I do. for the Timber Rattlers.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'm the senior graphic designer for the Timber Rattlers, high A affiliate of the Milwaukee Brewers. I also do the team photography. So I am out there in the dugout, in the stands, and on the field, taking action shots of the players, headshots of the players when needed, and fan shots, and anything like marketing related, since I'm on the marketing team as graphic designer. And then I also manage the website and make some social media posts. So kind of like a utility player, if you will, jack of all trades in the marketing department. So it's a really fun job. And I've been with the T-Rats since 2016.
Oh, wow.
And since then, we were low A for the first 3 years I was there. And then we moved up to high A when the Brewers restructured their minor league system a little bit. And before that, I was intern for the Indianapolis Indians as their video production intern in 2014. And then, sorry, I went back a little too far. Indians in 2014, Sugarland Skeeters, which is now the Sugarland Space Cowboys, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of strange names. In 2015. So Indians, Sugarland, Wisconsin is where I've been.
Wow.
In my career so far. Yeah.
That's so cool. And I know, like, so after high school, you headed down south to Southern Illinois and Carbondale. Is that kind of where all of this started? I mean, obviously being a big like baseball player, baseball fan growing up, you head down south. Like, how did that whole thing start? So like you obviously probably your major was geared towards communications or something like that. So explain a little bit that like how you got into all this fun baseball stuff.
Sure. Yeah. So since a little kid, I've always wanted to be a pro athlete, and then realized that wasn't going to happen pretty quick. So I wanted to be around sports and work in sports. And, you know, that's probably your guys' dream too, to be honest. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's every kid's dream, you know.
100%.
And, yeah. So I wanted to work in sports. I just had that thought and feeling, but as growing up, and you don't really know what that is when you're a kid until you maybe, you know, get to college. And in college, I did graduate with a communications degree from Southern Illinois in video production. So for the basketball games, volleyball games, baseball games, and football games at Southern Illinois Carbondale, I was either running camera or in the control room, operating the video board or running music, kind of the behind the camera stuff, the behind the scenes stuff. So if you've been to a live sporting event, there's 10 to 50 people that make that production happen for the in-stadium crowd and for the TV broadcast. So I was going to school for that, essentially. So they actually have classes for that. And that launched me right after I graduated in 2013 to the Southern Illinois Miners, which actually is where I started my career. Short three-month internship with an independent league team in Southern Illinois, you know, where there's 500 to 1,000 fans a game, and you got your rosters full of players who didn't make it in minor league baseball, but they're still extremely talented. You know, your 25 to 30-year-old guys, kind of like us, who are still freak athletes and can play baseball. And so that's where I was a video production intern, and jumped into the sports world right there.
Would you say, because you're still kind of in that high A level, do you find it more fun to be in a smaller environment where you're doing more things, or do you aspire to go to like maybe the big league level where there's more of those opportunities where you're kind of like one of 50, but you're part of the team that way, or do you like doing a little bit of everything?
Sure. Yeah, I actually like being in a smaller market. I planted a lot of roots here in Appleton, Wisconsin, which is beautiful. 30 minutes south. Yeah, southwest of Green Bay. I mean, it's a Midwest. You guys know the Midwest well. It's it's a nice area like Michigan. And my parents live 40 minutes away, retired in a lake house.
Tom and Karen.
Yep. Tom and Karen, they're doing well. They're doing well.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what would come with moving up to, let's just say, the Brewers or the Cubs or going anywhere around the country to a top tier league or team, obviously relocation. And at this point in my life, I don't want to relocate. You're being away from family. You'd move away from your friends. Um, and it's not always what it cracks up to be, because what I found out when getting into the office is it's about the people, in my opinion. Yeah. You want to work with great people. And even sports teams can struggle with, a not healthy as you'd like work environment. So what I have here at the Timber Rattlers, us 30 of us full-time staff, it's like a family. Sounds cliche, but it really is.
Yeah, and I mean what you said there, I mean, it's perfectly put. Like a bad culture and bad coworkers can make a fun job not fun, and can make something that you're passionate about toxic. And it's like the fact that you have found that, like, I will even say so early in your life, is incredible. And the fact that you like where you live. I've never personally visited Appleton, but I've heard that it's a beautiful place. Is Lawrence University up there?
It is, yeah. It's essentially connected to the downtown area where I live. Yeah. It's a small school, like 13 or 1,400 students. A lot of them are from out of state. So it's kind of a college town, but it's also, Appleton's a great place for like young people and families. So it's like a really good mixture of all of it.
Yeah. And I mean, you are a guy who is an outdoorsman and you love to fish. And I know there's a river that goes right through Appleton, and you're really close to Green Bay. So you could do all the fun stuff that you like to do too. That's really, really cool to hear.
Yep, sure is.
All right, Brandon, what else do we want to get into with Nick? He kind of talked about his day to day and how he got started in the industry. Like, I guess what does a typical day like look like for you, Nick? Obviously, like during the off season, it's probably a little bit different than it does in the regular season. I mean, regular season, we've been around the same league that you've been in, and it's like you see all these people rushing around. Like minor league baseball is so special in that way that like you kind of feel like it's this like smaller, like tight knit group, like getting things done. It's a lot more exciting environment in ways than major league teams are. So I guess like does it ever get like super like monotonous, or is there enough like variety where like I guess like during the off season and during the regular season, I guess like what are things that you're doing like every single day?
Yeah, so a lot of people think when I say I work in minor league baseball, they say, "What do you do in the off season?" I get that. If you work in minor league baseball or baseball, you'll get that till you work in it for 100 years. And in the off season, we still work. The offices are at the ballpark, and if we didn't do our jobs, the stands would be half as full. So that's what we do. In short, is we work ahead. We make things. We promote ahead. We organize all the theme nights, the giveaways. All that takes a big team, and to keep our season ticket holders happy and entertained, takes a lot of planning and brainstorming meetings and organizing. So it's definitely not monotonous. And the off season in graphics, and my department specifically in social media and website and marketing, is always busy. There's literally, in the past 8 seasons working for the Timber Rattlers, never been a time where I'm on my desk and my to-do list is all crossed off and it's like, what do I do?
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah, because the tickets department, food and beverage, corporate sales, even stadium operations, your general manager, other people in the marketing department, they need graphics made for social media, for print, your pocket schedules that you see at gas stations, right? The little box with 80 pocket schedules in there, front and back. I'm in charge of making that and producing that all the way to from an idea to printing it and getting it back to the ballpark. And those hundreds of thousands of those. And so that's one of dozens of print projects that I'm working out throughout the whole season, off season, in season. And then once you're in season, it's more of like, it's like a train. It just keeps on going, and there's no stopping it because this games just have to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So you're really just working just a couple weeks ahead, promoting theme nights. I mean, I don't know how many minor league baseball games you guys have been to.
A lot.
I'm curious to know what your guys' minor league baseball experience is like.
That's the thing. We used to go. Midwest League was like the only thing we used to go to. I didn't go to a major league game till 2005. That was my first Cubs game. So our only exposure was really these minor league games. And you're right, there's so much more that goes into it because you're not really relying on the talent of the players of the game necessarily, because it is a lower game. Like, it's not as talented, but you do have a lot of young kids, but you're really selling the entertainment value. What are people coming to the ballpark for? It's the, are my kids going to be entertained? Is the food good? Is someone on a rehab stint or whatever? Maybe they're coming for that. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot more to the minor league game than it's just baseball. It is. That's part of it. It's part of the growth process. But yeah, a lot of these guys aren't going to make it, and it's part of the game. So yeah, we have a lot of experience with that specific league. Before it was the Midwest League. Now it's something else because they disbanded and realigned and whatever. But yeah, we saw a lot of the Timber Rattlers in Kane County for sure.
Yeah, Timber Rattlers, Lumber Kings, River Bandits, Whitecaps. I mean, like Brandon said, like the Cougars were like our main source of baseball for a very long time. And being younger kids who are just getting into the game, like you're remembering some of the really good players, but most of it was about like, hey, how am I going to be entertained and just thinking, like putting myself in parents' shoes. It's like you're bringing like 5 and 6 year olds and it's like they can't sit still all the time. And honestly, like the marketing department and the things that you guys put out, it's so huge, and just keeping the crowd engaged. And like it was called Elfstrom Stadium. Like when we started going, it ended up being, what was it? What did Cougars end up being? Like, was it like, I don't know.
But
it was something.
To your point, though, we saw Adrian Gonzalez and Miguel Cabrera, which were two of probably the better hitters of when we were watching the most baseball. I don't remember a single at bat they took, but it's because it's all about the experience. It's all about the fan experience. And you're right, you want to get those season ticket holders coming back in and spending their money for that entertainment value, not necessarily for the performance on the field, because it varies so much. You can only rely on prospects. Because if prospects are good, they're not going to stay in high A. They're going to go to double A. They're going to go to triple A.
So. No, and when you get to watch, like as we have gotten older, like you start paying attention. Like I'm really big into prospects and development and all that stuff. So I've seen a lot of very, very good talent over the course of my life. Like Brandon said, our earliest memories are of Miguel Cabrera being a skinny 17-year-old shortstop and Adrian Gonzalez being a skinny 19-year-old first baseman. Raking. I do remember like that guy pounding doubles off the wall and hitting home runs. But like even recently, like I live in Holland, Michigan, which is right across the lake. We have the West Michigan Whitecaps and the Lansing Lugnuts that aren't too far away. So I've gone to quite a few of those games. It's a lot easier for me to get to those places than Detroit. Detroit's about 2.5 hours from me. But I mean, really kind of like what we were talking about off camera, like that Midwest League, the league that the Timber Rattlers are in, it's not the Midwest League anymore, but like that's really your first go at being a professional and playing a full season. I mean, you're really getting to see what these guys can do. A lot of these guys are like high school guys who have played maybe a full high school season and travel baseball. And then you got the college season, which is about 50 to 60 games, depending on how far you make it later in the summer. So a lot of it, it's like the rookie ball, you only get 40 or 50 games, if that, which is like another college season. But I mean, this Midwest League, this league that the Timber Rattlers are in, like that's really where you get your first shot. And we've seen a lot of really good players go through. Clayton Kershaw, Jay Bruce, the two guys we mentioned before, but just so much talent. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, marketing is a huge part of it, Nick. It's a huge part of it.
Yeah, I made a short list before joining of some of the top prospects that I've seen. Yeah. Brewers and non-brewers come through the ballpark, and as a baseball junkie, it's pretty awesome to get close to those guys and see them up close.
Yeah,
and how big they are, how different they are from that average player, why they get drafted, top 10.
Yeah.
So Yeah, and you're exactly right. In minor league baseball, all sports, it's a business, and you'll hear players say that, you'll hear people say that, but it's 100% true. Like we're for profit. Our goal is to make money and entertain, and to be this awesome pillar in the community. And here at the Timber Rattlers, at being high A, one step below double A, and we're seeing in minor league baseball now that players are jumping to the major leagues so quick. The Brewers, I'm very in tune with the Brewer system, obviously, and so they're bringing up guys in literally 2 years. Sal Frelick is having like 250 minor league at bats, and then he's being called up to Milwaukee.
Yep.
And so I don't really know what other organizations are doing, but that seems like what the Brewers are doing. Since they have a small payroll, they have to kind of cut the corner and get these young guys some major league experience quick.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah.
We were talking about the Brewers
go ahead, Brent.
last week, but yeah, they have last year's Joey Weimer, just all these young kids that were up that probably didn't make many stops. So I'm sure they went through you, but that was probably the longest stop they had was there.
Yeah, if they're in high A, in my summation so far in my baseball career, if they're in high A, they're 100% like management's thinking like, I see them on the Brewers. I see them making the big leagues someday. If you struggle in low A, that's like you're kind of on your way out if you struggle there. Mm-hmm. So if you can make it out of low A, like you have a high percentage, you're one step away from double A, and then you go to double A, it's a filter. It's just extremely good players. So and if they do stay in high A, it's because they're injured or they're trying to rehab something. But if they're good, they're gone in 3 months or just a full season, and then they're out of here on the double A. So I get close with the players on first name basis sometimes. I'm close with Aaron Ashby. That's probably the closest player.
That's cool.
Yeah. So because he's rehabbed with the T-Rats twice. Yeah. So when he comes back, I say hi to him, and I'm in the dugout, so I'm seeing him. And then when he played for us, he threw a lot of innings.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, because I don't know where the low A is for the Brewers. Or do they have a low A, or is it just high A?
Yes, Carolina Mudcats.
And that's far. So when you have a guy that needs a quick rehab, Appleton's a lot closer than Carolina. And I remember the Cubs used King County one year, and they would send guys all the time to King County because it's like, it's right there. You're right in Chicagoland. So having that pipeline, you do get a lot of those cool instances. So that's that was going to be my next thing, was your relationship with players. And especially, I mean, you probably see guys that maybe aren't going to make it or maybe are struggling. You probably don't interact with them too much with that, but that's cool that you have connections with the guys and they come back and they'll know who you are. That's cool.
Yeah, I can kind of elaborate a little bit on what my relationship is like with them on a day-to-day basis in the season.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So our first game, let's just say in 2024, is going to be April 6th. I think it's a Friday. I could be mistaken, but the players
schedule,
Yeah, I know I make it, right? Yeah, but then I move on. On to other.
Yeah.
26 schedule right now.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm kind of don't want to rush into the season because it can be kind of hell, but it's. I like the off season and my coming home at 4 and 5 instead of 11 p.m. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. The players will arrive on Sunday, and then I will get them from media day on Tuesday and or Wednesday. So that's kind of on the tentative schedule. They'll stop at one station in the clubhouse for a headshot. They'll come to me for all sorts of action shots, posing in 10 different poses I'll have them do for marketing purposes, for some really cool posters we may do, all the players. And about 10 of the 30 are returners. So I know them already. They know what's up. They've seen me all season. And then a lot of the guys are Latin players too that don't speak English. And they're really fun guys. It's like their first time in cold weather. Like they've never seen snow before.
Oh my.
And they're 18 years old. Yeah. And they're just 6.
Bundle up.
Yeah. It's just like 6'3", 225-pound Dominican kid that throws like 97, and the Brewers, signed him like last year or whatever, and now he's up in Wisconsin.
You just give him a ski mask and say good luck.
Yeah. But no sleeves.
No sleeves, just a ski mask.
Yeah, it's cool getting to know the guys. Most of them are great. You don't get big leagued too much. If anything, the minor league version of being big leagued is them just saying no to everything. They won't be jerks. They'll just be like, no. Like they won't even do like a little jersey shoot to put on this really cool alt jersey that we have and pose like, with some players for like 5 minutes, But after that media day, it's games, right into games, and then I'm out there in the dugout taking photos of them and sending them to them on like a Google Drive because they love to post their photos and their new uni right in their first pro game. So, and then it's just whatever social media I need from throughout the season for like TikToks or Instagram Reels. I'm a part of that, so I'm in and out of the clubhouse. So we get pretty familiar with each other, and they're cool guys. It's hard to think that they're just between 18 and 21 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They look like us guys. They look like they're 30.
Yes.
But they're just like man-childs, to be honest, because they were just at like Vanderbilt or Michigan or Florida State, like, and then in the College World Series, and then the Brewers take them 5th overall or 50th overall or 250th, and they sign for a lot of money, and they're here. So they're high, like high class athletes, to be honest.
Yeah.
The smallest team is like 5'10", 180, like the smallest guy.
Do you know Garrett Mitchell?
He would probably recognize me, but I know Garrett. Yeah,
but like that's just an example of a guy like stud at UCLA, had a very successful college career, gets drafted in the first round. He probably wasn't with you guys for super long because he kind of shot through the majors. He was on that fast track being a 21, 22-year-old when he got drafted. But like, guys like that, I mean, it's been very intriguing to watch like the draft process over the years, because there was about like a decade where high school prospects were like the it thing. And it's like, man, we can really mold this guy into who we need him to be, who we want him to be. He can really be a Milwaukee Brewer type player. But it's been interesting to see this shift into like the drafting the college athlete and how polished and how strong and how mature these guys are, how quick they can get to the majors. So, I mean, even if they're not stopping at your spot for a particularly long time, it's probably cool to like be around someone who's like that, who's like more mature. Like I think of, I mean, I've been to a few Tigers games since I've been over here, equally as same amount of Cubs games, but like the guy a couple years ago, Spencer Torkelson, and that guy was stud at Arizona State, high draft pick. He's already in the majors, but like to watch how he works, he got to learn from one of the best in Miguel Cabrera. But like just having that pedigree, having that successful like high school prep career and college career, and just kind of showing up and being ready to play. Like he doesn't really need to learn too much about the pro game, because he's essentially, at least from a living standpoint, these younger guys, a lot of it's like their first time away from home. So those college guys, those more mature guys, they're probably a lot of fun to like get to talk to and get to watch play and be around. Yeah,
Garrett Mitchell's a good example, because he was my time being around him, seeing him take BP and in the clubhouse and just take a bunch of at bats. When I'm just feet away taking photos near the dugout. He's an elite athlete. I mean, he's out there making diving catches. You can tell he was different than the other guys. I mean, he was very polished with his approach at the plate too, and he just looks different. The eye test, well, in comparison, like on the other side of the spectrum, when it makes me think of who's like a kid but who's elite, is Jackson Churio.
Oh my God! My!
They just signed him to a big deal too.
That kid, he is elite, but he is a kid. Like he's just a happy-go-lucky, like all smiles, like super nice kid. So doesn't pass the eye test of like that dude's a pro athlete.
Yeah.
But he can ball out, and it's insane like what he did, just for his size too. And before we got him at the T-Rats, our general manager Rob, and president, he's super close with the Brewers. He's in the day-to-day office just like the rest of us, and so he knows Tom Flanagan, the Brewers like minor league like player development coordinator, and I guess the comparisons were Ronald Acuna, and so so I was thinking to myself like, yeah, right, because we get a notice when like we're about to get a prospect or heads up, the marketing team, we're like, okay, we gotta make all these graphics and advertise like Churio coming up, because there's 25% of the people that are in our stands of the 4,000 or 5,000 are like diehard baseball fans.
Yeah, and they know who that is.
Yeah, you got to let them know. And then the other another 50% don't care, and then the other 25% are just like out of town visitors, and so they don't know anything. So, but Churio is elite athlete, but doesn't seem like it when you like are around him until you watch him play.
That was gonna be another thing I was gonna ask, because I was gonna ask how much direction you guys get from the Brewers, because obviously you're your own business, right? The Brewers entrust you with their prospects, but so you are getting direction from the Brewers then with how to like utilize them or promote them in your case.
Well, a little bit. I mean, we get notice of what's coming down the pipeline, or what's coming up the pipeline. They actually leave us on our own of how we want to promote them. Okay. It's actually pretty easy. There's nothing special besides just maybe a TV commercial or some social media graphics and TV displays around the ballpark, highway billboard, digital billboards that like Jackson Churio's coming, right? And just saying the dates when he's going to be here. So we don't have to get that approved by the Brewers or anything. Only if we maybe make a bobblehead of him in the future. We have to, run that by the Brewers, because Major League Baseball is like our big brother. So
yeah, but that also benefits you guys, because then your ticket sales are up. You guys are doing well because you're getting this guy that everyone wants to see. So
yeah, I love that. When draft time, June comes, like whoever the Brewers take in the first round, they usually come straight to us. They'll skip low A, because they'll usually dominate there, and they'll come to us. So that's easy advertising for us, and it's really fun to see those guys.
And it's got to be more fun to work for an organization or be a part of the Brewers pipeline, because they actually use their prospects. If you're in the Yankees system, those guys aren't going to the Yankees. They're going to Detroit, or they're going whoever they're going to trade for the next piece. So it's a lot of volume. And when we would watch Kane County, they were the Marlins at the time. So they were sending a lot of players to the major leagues. And I think that probably makes it a little more rewarding for you. I don't know. Does that help your motivation?
Yeah, you're exactly right. The Brewers are a small market, you guys know, and they have to do things differently. Was it David Stearns? Did he come from Houston, where they kind of initiated like that next wave of analytics? And so he brought that to Milwaukee. And part of that was like, okay, the Yankees and Cubs might not bring up like their first round draft pick to AAA in 2 years, but we will, because we have to. Like they have to find an edge, and it's bringing up Mitchell, Weimer, Frelick, Ashby. In other organizations, half the league might not do that, but the Brewers are doing that, and it seems like it's paying off because they got good coaching, good development.
They had good coaching. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, that's another subject. My coworkers, when Council signed with the Cubs, they lost it. They were giving me the stink eye for a solid week. They just couldn't. So
I had where your loyalties lie, sir.
My loyalties are still Chicago.
Yes.
Even if we have the Packers charity softball game at our ballpark. And so that still hasn't swayed me. But I have to be honest, being around the players, all the Packers, like Aaron Rodgers, Driver, Favre, and Aaron Jones and all those guys, I do end up liking them.
They're great guys.
Yes, but when they're on the field and I'm watching on TV, I hate them.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they're actually cool dudes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It changes your perspective for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of piggybacking off of what you just said, as far as just like bringing up the players and stuff. I mean, like, again, in your time, and you've spent over 8 years with this organization, with this team, and it's like a lot of the guys who are on the current roster, a lot of the reason for the success of this team in the last 10 years, they've been guys who've come through. I mean, Corbin Burns, obviously, like you said, yeah, Freilich and Garrett Mitchell, all these guys, Bryce Terang,
Williams.
Right.
Devin Williams.
Yeah, Devin Williams, Bryce Terang. I mean, guys like that, and then you bring up guys like Churio's gonna be in the show this year. I wouldn't be surprised if Jefferson Caro was also in the show. Also a Venezuelan international signing. So those two guys having a solid backstop like Caro and having Churio patrol center field. I mean, those are some guys who can really, really ball on both ends of the spectrum. They're great defensive players and also have thunder in their bat. So, I mean, Milwaukee has this tendency to scratch and claw. I mean, they still have Christian Yelich, who I love Christian Yelich. I don't know if he's ever going to be the player that he was a few years ago. But we were kind of talking about this with Weicker last week, because Weicker's a big Cardinals fan. Like, us being Cubs fans, like seeing the Brewers have this young talent and all this talent on the major league roster, it's like, man, we're not making any moves as the Cubs. And it's like these teams in the Central, like, people say it's wide open, and it really is, but like any team could be successful and win. Like, the Brewers are still the Central winners, that they're defending their title until it gets taken from them. So, I mean, losing Counsell is a tough blow, but I mean, with the promise of having Caro and Churio coming up, I mean, I think Murphy's going to be fine. I think he's going to be just fine. He's got a solid organization and solid players coming up and solid players on the roster. They still, until they're knocked off, they're still the Central champs.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if the Brewers fall off. I think that would have to be like a devastating injury for a couple guys. Like if Devin Williams punches a wall again or something like that.
Yeah.
That reverberated around our office, and people were pretty pissed about that when that happened a couple years ago.
Well, I think that it's cool, the perspective that you have, because you would know if the Brewers are going to be bad in 5 years. You'd probably know ahead of time, because if there's not much coming through or not much excitement at that level, that's a projection to the future. So it's a healthy organization, unfortunately, sometimes, but they have a lot going on, and again, it's kind of cool that you're kind of on the ground floor for a lot of it.
Yeah, you asked me earlier about do I have any NDAs. The NDAs would be, I guess, any insider information, and then that somebody would bet on. So honestly, if you were to play some bets on what we're talking about, technically, because we have to take like a 30-minute, training that MLB gives us, saying like, if you know someone's coming down for rehab, or you have someone that's going to get injured, you can't relay that on to your buddies and then have them place bets. I think
do people gamble on high A baseball?
Well, it goes up to Major League. So like if there's information that
I was gonna say, I'm like,
somehow.
Yeah.
Like I know, I mean, you become close with people in the spring training facility. Some Brewers people over time. So if you really wanted to get some information on like who's hot or who's not going to play, you can find that out really easily. Like for any minor league staffer. But the Brewers are set for the future, I think, and I'm pretty partial to them. After working in their organization, I don't hate the Brewers. Never really did.
No.
Growing up in the north suburbs like we did, we went to Brewers games. They were easier to go to than Cubs games.
They were.
So, yeah.
And it was a brand new ballpark when we were like in our adolescence. It was fun, the retractable roof and all that stuff, and you're still seeing fun baseball and obviously all the antics that go on at Miller Park. We'll always call it Miller Park. It will always be Miller Park. It will never be AmFam or whatever the heck it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were kind of talking about like just like the demographics of fans at in your town in Appleton and for the Timber Rattlers. So Brandon and I talked about it on a couple shows ago. So we were at I think was it a Brewers Cubs game, Brandon?
Where a couple years ago where we didn't want it to be the Cubs because they were playing so bad.
No, you know what? No, it was a Brewers Cubs. It was a Brewers Cubs game, and it was a competitive game. It was near the end of the season, and Brewers fans are just a different breed. Like half of them don't really care. Half of them are just they're wasted in the parking lot and they're not watching the game.
90% are there to tailgate. That's it.
They're there to tailgate. They're there to have a good time.
They have a good tailgate. You got to give them that.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was asking purely as a baseball fan. And there were these obnoxious Brewers fans behind me. I'm like, hey guys, I'm not trying to be a dick here or anything, but I said, what excites you about this team? And they're like, well, what's exciting about the Cubs? I'm like, that's not what I'm asking. What excites you about this team? And then they said, oh, well, we're more Packer fans and all that stuff. So like, I guess, would you say in your experience, like working for the Timber Rattlers, like the fans who are there, are they fans or are they just there?
The fans at our ballpark and then kind of Brewers fans as a whole a little bit.
Yeah.
At our ballpark, I would say, just like I mentioned earlier, it's like half of the people in the stands aren't there to see who won or lost.
Yeah.
They're there to eat, drink, socialize, see the superheroes that we have. Like we'll have, Captain America and the Hulk or a bunch of princesses or, like all these theme nights that we have. We really try to go all out in all phases of just the entertainment. Like when you walk in, there's a bunch of things for you to do and see. When you're inside, things around the concourse, food and beverage themed, stuff from pop culture, whether it's around the theme night. We have a bunch of Bark in the Park days. Those are always popular everywhere around the country. But so half the people don't care. They just want to have a good time in the summer. Summertime in Wisconsin's great. And yeah, your 15 to 25% are diehards. They really care about who's winning and who's losing. Brewers fans are passionate, but you have to understand that they hate the Cubs more than the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like the Cubs fans hate the Cardinals more than the Brewers. Brewers fans despise the Cubs. So that doesn't surprise me of that fans' reaction. Like if you were Cincinnati Reds fans, they probably would have treated you a little softer.
Yes.
It's crazy, Nick, because I try to explain this to them. I'm like, we're on the same team. We just want the Cardinals to lose. And they're like, no, we don't care. You guys are like, it's just, I've tried every time. I meet a new fan. I'm like, hey, we're doing this together. He's like, nope, we don't care. We just want you guys to lose every time. I'm like,
especially since the Cubs won a World Series, because that was what every Cubs hater, especially Brewers fans, gave everyone crap for was, when was the last time you won a World Series? When was the last time, And even to this day, my coworkers who I'm really close with, good buddies, they'll still say, oh, you only won one World Series the past 108 years.
Yeah.
But then I say to them, well, back-to-back champs, 07, 08.
Yeah. 19.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's something that not all other fan bases understand is this little rivalry. But they are passionate, but they're not as diehard, I would say, as Cubs. Maybe I'm a little biased, but as a whole, but yeah, they're good fans still.
To be fair, like we've been to a good chunk of the ballparks, and they're not all full. Wrigley is a unique experience, but if you were honest about it, how many people are just happy to be at Wrigley? They don't really care what's going on.
Yeah.
If the Cubs win or lose, they'll be mad or sad for like 2 minutes, and then they're like, okay, back to the bars. So, Ryan, to be fair, Cub fans we pack the stadium, but the vibe is fun. If you're Wrigley in the summer is great. It's fun to be there. but how many people are actually paying attention to the game?
Yeah.
Maybe
And
20,
I mean, that's
25%, right?
and honestly, like that's the wonderful thing about baseball is that you can have an experience at the ballpark and it doesn't necessarily have to do anything with the game.
Yeah.
Brandon just said, like, we've been to a lot of ballparks. I think we've been to about 20. So we're getting close to getting to the end of the line on this one. But like, there's some environments that we've been in where it's like these it's probably over 50%. It's probably closer to 75% of these people really care about the outcome of the game. They're not there to see what promotion is going on or to get a bobblehead or because it's food truck night. Like, they're not there for that. They're like going to St. Louis, going to Busch, being in Fenway Park. Some of these places where like these are baseball fans. I haven't been to Yankee Stadium yet, but I imagine that they're the same way. Where being in Philly, I haven't been to Philly yet, but I'm sure Philly's the same way. So like, it's a whole different environment. It's almost stressful. It's not as carefree when you're in that environment where there's a lot of very passionate baseball fans that care about the outcome of the game. You can go to a place like Wrigley Field where it's like half people are paying attention, half people aren't, but the shared experience is that like we're at the ballpark. It's a nice day. We're just enjoying what is. We're enjoying whether it's the food or the conversation that you're having with your friend you haven't seen in years, or hanging out with your family, or catching a foul ball by accident, or whatever it happens to be. I don't know. It's just, that's the cool thing about baseball. Like, you don't really need to be engaged like 100% of the time in order to have an enjoyable evening or enjoyable day.
Yeah, that's what we pride ourselves on. Is, like I said, doesn't matter whether they won or lost. It's just if you have a good time, because we can't advertise these players. Maybe 2 or 3 of the players we can advertise per year, and then the draft picks come, the rehabs come. Otherwise, they're just numbers and faces out there, except for that 15 to 25% of the fans that are, reading the program and getting to know the roster and getting all the autographs and going to all these meet and greets. So it's pretty unique in minor league baseball. I hope it sticks around for a long time. Yeah.
So that's one point that I wanted to get to too, was the COVID year was really hard on minor league baseball, especially the lower levels. A lot of teams are getting cut, moved around, shuffled around. How was that year for you guys? Was that ever a scary scenario where maybe, you guys are on the block?
It was scary, but we knew that we weren't on the chopping block at all to be cut from the Midwest League, because our ownership does a good job of making sure we abide by the Major League Baseball rules, right? Like, just the simplest thing of like, hey, your clubhouse and visiting clubhouse needs to like be clean. It needs to be like just the bare minimum. And sometimes around minor league baseball, these things get neglected.
Yeah.
And therefore these teams get cut. That's like a microcosm of how the organization is run. Not to say that there weren't good people there, but when the CBA happens, minor league players, major league players, they really start advocating for minor league quality of life stuff.
Yeah.
So we abide by that. So our COVID year, we knew we were safe. From an employment standpoint, we were assured that we were going to keep our jobs. So at first, like the basketball game where the trainer runs out. You remember that on TV? And remember, is the Rudy Gobert game where he yeah. So soon after that, I think it was like late March. So literally our first game was in a couple weeks. Rob, our president, called a meeting. Everyone went upstairs to our banquet facility, our Fox Club area. And he was like, well, our season is canceled. Major League Baseball just told us. And, low key in the back of my mind, I was like, wow, I'm actually going to have a summer now.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a normal summer.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. But from a books on the book standpoint, money, economically, I was like, oh shoot, the Timber Rattlers are really going to suffer, because 70% of your money comes from 6 months of the year.
Right.
Yeah.
We actually, that year, we got bought by, we were community owned before, but then we got bought by a local businessman from the area who our president knew. And then so when he knew that the Timber Rattlers were struggling, we actually got bought by a private owner, and he really helped us out, and everything's been back to normal since COVID's a couple years behind us now. So it was a tough year. We had the taxi squad, the Brewers alternate training site at our ballpark since we're so close to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So I was out there taking video and photos on the field with all the players who, the best AAA players, basically. Like they didn't have a whole team. It was really just 15 guys practicing all the time.
Wow.
Taking BP, throwing, and then they would be like Keon Broxton, right? Like he had loved him for a while. Tyrone Taylor, gosh.
Yeah.
A bunch of role players, bullpen guys. So that was really cool to see and being around those guys. So my summer was really just working from home, working in the office a couple of days a week, and being around those guys.
Yeah.
You want to jump out there with them though, right? You're like, hey, I used to play second base. I can do this too, right?
Oh man, that reminds me. I wanted to. One perk of working in minor league baseball is you get to go out on the field.
Yeah.
And you get to take BP sometimes, and you get to go out there at shortstop after our last game every year. It's usually a night game. The coaches, the manager, the pitching coach, the bench coach will throw all the staff BP, and we'll get to have beers from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. taking BP and taking the field. And so you have 30 just average Joes out there in the outfield and at shortstop with just holding beers, and then we're just taking turns, taking hacks and getting pitches from the manager.
Oh, that's great.
And it's so fun. That's like one of my favorite times of the year is the last game of the season. You guys would have a blast.
Yeah.
Well,
that's just cool.
I just do slow pitch now. That's all I do. So
yeah.
I don't know if I can hit anything.
I know that's just great to hear, and I'm glad that that the private owner bought the team. It just kind of shows, like you were saying, how ingrained you are in the community, and that's what you get from like Midwest small town Americana. Like you just get this like sense of community, like your place is the place where people go and spend time. They spend their money. They make memories. And that's just, to me, that's just so cool that you get to be part of that and you love where you're at. And it's just amazing. That's kind of what you want for people who are your friends. You want them to be doing things that they're passionate about. You want them to be like immersed in a wonderful community and enjoying their life. So it's just so cool that you get to do that and you're part of this team and part of this community and you're making an impact, which is amazing.
Yeah, appreciate that. It's a great line of work. Very rewarding. I mean, you're helping people have a great time. You're selling fun. That's really what it is. Whether you're selling tickets or you're in the marketing visual side, people just want to come to the ballpark and relax and have a good time. So that's how I try to look at it. And then in working in baseball, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, it's kind of miraculous how people can maintain families and work in minor league baseball. When you actually think about it and get down to it, our hours are 70 to 80 hours a week. But good organizations like the Timber Rattlers, they understand that work-life balance, and they, like, if your kid's sick or you got to go pick them up, you just leave and do it. You just go, and then if you're really tired from the night before, come in at 11. There's no micromanaging at our organization. There's no like, oh, you got to be in at 9 o'clock sharp, because it's a grind. There's a lot of perks, but the downside is you are at the ballpark, but you're at the ballpark working.
Yeah.
So, if you can understand when, you're tired, it's Friday of a 6-game homestand and it's, 90 degrees out every day. And then 4,000 or 5,000 people are coming to the ballpark every day. And you're going home at 11 PM every day, and then you got to get up and go do it again. but then it's like a new theme night. It's like Harry Potter night the next night.
Yeah.
And there's like 50 fans like dressed up as Harry Potter, and then you have, you hire on like 10 people to come play the characters, and then you do all these things around the ballpark to like make it a really immersive theme night.
Yeah.
So, and then once the gates open, the buzz picks up, like just like every sports fan loves, like you guys know, when you go to a ballpark, it's just that buzz, that atmosphere, right? That anticipation of like the first pitch coming up, the players like warming up on the field, like, so that kind of keeps it going for all of us working baseball. And then the next night's superhero night, right?
Yeah.
So, and then maybe there's a rehab, right? So like there's all these things that keep you in it. And if you got a good organization, they won't work you to the bone, but you would have to put some hours in, maybe even be mascot every once in a while too.
Yeah. Run some races.
I have run some races, and I have been mascot for every team I've worked with. But luckily, I'm tenured enough to where like I'm higher up on the totem pole where I'm not the first one they go to. So
yeah.
Well, before we get to our fan favorite, what's your coolest alternate jersey? Because you mentioned those earlier. You just mentioned Harry Potter night. What's your favorite alternate jersey that you guys do?
Oh, it's so hard. We're actually in a cool spot at the Timberellers. We have a couple alternate identities. Minor league baseball fans would kind of know these, the Wisconsin Tuggers.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
The Wisconsin Brats. Have you heard of that identity?
I have not heard of that one.
I think I've seen the jersey. I think I have.
Yeah, you'll have to Google that. Like it's checkered pattern lederhosen with brown pants.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that for sure.
Oh man, but I would say the Brats are my favorite because it's just so outlandish. Like when you're at the ballpark and you see checkered jerseys with a brat on the hat and then brown pants. And then it's crazy. Like the Spanish players were like afraid to come out of the dugout. They were like, "What are we wearing?
What is this?"
All the American guys were like, "This is awesome."
Great,
This is great. But the Spanish kids were like, they don't know the context. So
what's a brat?
Right.
Yeah, I guess a brat.
They can't even speak. They can barely speak English. Bless their hearts. But like, so that's my favorite is the Wisconsin Brats, and we're gonna do that for like 4 games this year. So
one of the teams that Ryan Noda played for, they did the Noodlers in Tulsa.
Oh yeah.
So it's like what's new? It's like when you stick your hand in the fish grabs, or whatever, but like that's their ultimate ego. It's like it's a weird one.
You stick your hand in a hole and you try not to drown,
and try to wrangle up a 50-pound catfish. Yeah.
Oh,
that's funny. I would have thought it'd be the Tuggers, but that's no.
That
fits. The Brats are funny.
The lederhosen is that's wild. That's wild, dude. That's great.
Yeah, the Tuggers are pretty awesome. Like they're iconic at this point. I mean, we sold merchandise to all 50 states, Canada, and like Hawaii and Alaska. Like people bought Tuggers hats and shirts.
Wow,
isn't that insane?
Well, you think about a team like the Savannah Bananas, where their brand is bigger than what they're doing.
Yeah.
Their game. I mean, I haven't watched a Bananas game, but it's all about the entertainment and it's all about the jerseys and the hats and all that other stuff. They're just a marketing whatever. So if you're selling stuff to all 50 states as a minor league baseball team, that's incredible. It
is.
Yeah, people love those wacky hats, and especially if they look good.
Yeah.
Like, like it's got a blue, our OG hat, Tuggers hat's like a blue crown with the cow pattern bill. You can wear that with kind of a lot of outfits.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes minor league baseball logos and alt identity hats, they're so uniquely colored that you don't want to wear it out casually all the time. Yeah. You think it's cool, but like you don't want to, because it's too flashy, right? Or it's too weird. So we try to like make our hats like, would somebody wear that like all the time? Not just try to find like the craziest color scheme. So, but to the banana ball, I get asked this every now and then. It's like, why don't you do that? But I'm sure you guys know the business of baseball and the difference between independent and pro.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the Brewers are in the business of winning championships,
Yeah.
So yeah, the any players doing anything, like the Brewers put a kibosh on it. You know,
yeah.
I'm not throwing shade at the Brewers, but like those players signed a $500,000 contract a couple of weeks ago, whoever was drafted in the 5th round. And so it's like, if they want to say no to anything, they can, really.
Yeah. Yeah. The Bananas is all entertainment. Like, I mean, those guys are not slouches. They're really not. They can play.
Yeah.
They're not clowns out there. They've had former pros attend games, put on the uniform and taken at bat. But like that franchise, if you want to call them a franchise, they are a franchise. But that guy is a marketing whiz. I don't know. It's killing me that I can't remember his name, but he's a marketing whiz, and he revived them, and that's their jam. They're immersed in the community, and that's what it's about. Like promoting fun, promoting community, enjoying yourselves, and that's what they do. But like Major League Baseball is a different animal. Minor League Baseball is a different animal.
Yeah, we in the minor league baseball business, we have to toe that line between like just totally respecting what the Brewers are trying to do, respect the players. It's their job. They're pro athletes. They get out of college and they're not like, you know, hoorah after every home run. They're like, it's business. Yeah. Like they rarely, you believe it or not, players rarely celebrate in minor league baseball. You have to have like a really team that gels really well and has a lot of like really cool personalities, or they're in first place. Like they're just killing it in first place, and they'll get kind of pumped. Otherwise, they're like, oh shoot, man, I'm hitting like 230 this month. You know, like I got to get out of low A. I got to get out of high A. So they're trying to have fun doing that.
Yeah, it's really not a team sport till you get to the major league level, because you're just trying to get yourself there. Like it doesn't matter if your single A team wins first or is in last place. If you're hitting well, you're gonna go.
Right.
Until you get to that major level, you're right. It's everyone's on their own island. And their own
I wish the players would show a little bit more of their personality and get hyped. It takes a really specific personality that they hit like turn a single into a double and they slide into second and they're fist pumping. There's like, you rarely see that. But in the big leagues, people get on their feet for that, and players love that, right?
Yeah, they're looking back at the dugout, they're doing their whatever thing that they do. But yeah, you're right, they probably don't have that because I don't want to be here anymore. I want to be in Double A, you know.
Right.
Or you're taking my spot. That was my at that you just took from me. So.
Right. Yeah. So we got to try to make the game as entertaining as possible. All those things we talked about. Yeah. Even the players not showing any emotion. They're kind of like robots out there sometimes.
Yeah.
Unless they hit a walk-off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just focusing on that next rocket that you can hit, that next strikeout. And I mean, you do see some exciting things, like you were saying, like if you're in first place, like back in 2012 when the Cubs when Kane County was their affiliate in the Midwest League, I had the opportunity to go to the Midwest League semifinal game. I was actually credentialed back then as a writer, so I got into the game for free, and I got to report on the game, and that was a blast. They were having a lot of fun. I don't know if you remember Mike Olt at all, but he was rehabbing, and he hit this monstrous like 450-foot shot over the scoreboard. But like those guys, it was exciting. I mean, there's a lot of really good players on that team, guys who are in the major leagues now. So yeah, you do see the glimpses of the fun, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot of pressure because you're playing for that next pro contract or even that first pro contract. A lot of these guys, their salary is not a lot; it's their signing bonus that's a lot. So the crown jewels, then okay, well, I get an $8 million signing bonus, but my salary is only X, and the working conditions and the salaries have gotten a little bit better because they needed to. But yeah, a lot of the guys, they just want to get to the next level because they want to turn this thing into a livelihood. They want to make sure that they're set and their family is set, and that's the only way to do it. And I mean, maybe in the future we'll see some more fun, some more emotion out of the players as advertising and revenue continues to increase more. But again, minor league baseball, it's such a special place, and those guys deserve to get recognized for the things that they do. And you guys as as employees and parts of the community, you guys deserve to get recognized as well. It's just, again, very special place, especially in this country. It's a baseball is a game that we created, that we've cultivated. And I'm glad to see that it's continuing to gain popularity. I mean, there's been rules that were kind of implemented in the minor leagues that are kind of made their as a testing ground and then made their way to Major League Baseball. And Brandon and I have commented on it several times during our time hosting this show, that just the awesome things that we've seen and how much of a fan that we've been of the changes in the rules. It's just making the game more watchable for the average person.
Yeah, the pitch clock, the batter in the box rules, those are a blessing in minor league baseball. Mm-hmm. Like just cutting the game down by 15 to 20 minutes on average is huge.
Yeah.
Because
no one wants a terrible game at single A. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you want your 2.5 hour tops. Especially if it's a back and forth game, people can handle that 2.5 hours because of the action. Yeah, it's awesome because especially as employees, you get to go home sooner. Like,
yes,
that's, we love our job. We love what we do, not to make it just, but you do want to get home at a decent time. And it used to be before the pitch clock, like you're 11:30, it's the 12th inning, and they can't even bunt each other over.
Yeah.
But now, it rarely goes to extra innings. So yeah, I like it. I mean, I isn't Theo Epstein like making a lot of these rule changes, or he's kind of initiating all these. So I hope it keeps going,
Oh yeah. There's still things to tighten up, but we're big fans of the things that they've done so far. At first you're a little bit skeptical. You're like, all right, how does this strategically help a team win a game? But then it's like, okay, these guys are already freaking. Like the biggest thing for me was the shift, limiting the shift. I'm like, that to me is just, but then it's like, man, I can see how incredible of an athlete this guy is. He has to stay here, but he still makes the play. It's just like, you just get to see more of the athleticism on display, and it's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, Ryan, you know the Tigers roster pretty well, right?
Decently well, yeah.
Okay. Reese Olson is a former Timber Rattler.
Okay. That name sounds familiar.
Starting pitcher for the Tigers, young guy.
Okay. Yeah.
I think he maybe only has 15 or 20 starts. But he's a guy too that I wouldn't say I got close with, but he's a great dude. And if I saw him, like, we would have like a little rapport. Because he was with the T-Rats for a couple years. Not that he was bad or injured, but sometimes pitchers, especially if you're young, just let them simmer and let them pitch unless they're throwing 99, right? So you see the roster, he's a good guy.
The Cubs had he was on the radio this week, Mark Leiter Jr., who's Al Leiter's nephew. He spent 9 years in the minors. And now he's 30, he'll be 32 this year. This will be his second year in the majors. And it's like, some guys do get stuck down there and they do kind of get tossed around. And if you throw hard enough, they'll keep you around. You're right. But it sometimes takes a little longer to break through.
It depends on the major league's starting rotation too. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are going, or a lot of teams that are making the playoffs are, they're middle relievers. They want like two starters. They want their opponent's starting lineup to see 3 or 4 different pitchers that throw really hard. So their rotation in season is 5, but in the playoffs, it's different. At least that's how the Brewers have been treating it. So when you got a pitcher who's really good, like, he's not just going to go straight to the pros like Sal Frelick in 2 years.
Yeah.
Because you got Freddie Peralta, Brandon Woodruff, Corbin Burns, Wade Miley, like these seasoned veterans in the rotation. Plus pitching is incredibly hard. Like, you don't want to, I don't know if you saw, but Aaron Ashby and Ethan Small, their first appearances were versus the Cubs, and when Cubs still had like Rizzo and Bryant, and they got shelled. So
even Corbin Burns was not good. And it's funny because we've actually been at some ballparks and we've been sitting behind families, and it's like a young pitcher, and we're like, oh, why are they wearing those jerseys? It's like, oh, they're their family. and most of the time they get shelled.
Especially in the game. It's tough.
Was it McDonald, TJ McDonald, or McFarland, TJ McFarland?
McFarland, yeah.
It was a Brewer game. We were at a Brewers-Oriole game, sitting by his parents all night. He gets in the game in the 10th inning. Giovanni Gallardo hits a knock off the wall to game-ending hit, but it's like the pitcher pinch hit, and then it was like, you just got rocked by a pitcher, man. Welcome to the big leagues.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Corbin Burnes is interesting because I didn't think he was going to be good. Like it was in 2016, that was my first year, and so he's kind of awkward. He had short hair at the time, big glasses,
Yep,
like,
I remember that.
His 2016 like low A, or even high A self does not look like what he does now. He put on probably 20, 30 pounds. He is stout now. Like, if you look at him, he's got tree trunks for legs, throws hard, great stuff. When he was with us, he had good numbers. Like he probably would have made the All-Star game, but like when he won the Cy Young, I was like, wow, like I did not know that he was that caliber pitcher in high A. And I don't even know if the Brewers knew that, to be honest, forecast.
Well, apparently he sucks though, because they don't want to pay him any money.
Yeah.
An arbitration.
Yeah. Well, with what money too?
Yeah.
To be on what money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have much.
No.
All
right. Well,
unfortunate, but someone will grab him.
Yeah.
We'll
still got it.
We'll be respectful of Nick's time here, but we're gonna do our fan favorite segment this week. We're gonna do closers. Ryan said he was struggling a little bit. I have two from the past that I don't think you'll say. Joe Nathan was always a guy that I liked. We met him in Cleveland. He was very agitated that we kept asking for his autograph, but he was still a fun guy. Threw hard, kind of a late bloomer, kind of like we were talking about. He threw hard and didn't really get a closer spot till later with the Giants and the Twins. But then one that I wrote down when you were thinking, the first guy I ever remember being a closer was Rod Beck for those 98 Cubs. And I was like, that was when the closer first came to mind. And then we had guys like LaTroy Hawkins after that, which was brutal. But Rod Beck, Joe Borowski, guys like that. But I just remember Rod Beck with that mullet and that
straight out the trailer park, dude.
Yes. Kenny Powers looking.
Yes, he was Kenny Powers before Kenny Powers.
Yes. Joe Nathan's probably my more serious one, but Rod Beck was definitely an interesting character that was around.
Yeah. That's Joe Nathan's a good. I mean, Joe Nathan was even really solid like later in his career with Texas. He was just a great through gas. He had that like 92 mile an hour slider too, nasty.
Didn't he have kind of a jerky delivery? It kind of like just a different delivery that made it tough for hitters.
He hit the ball well.
Yeah. That's what I remember.
Pretty well.
Rob Mann used to have a higher leg kick and go up, but he was a similar pitcher.
Yeah, Rob Nen. Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking of guys from like MVP 05, like just nasty. Couldn't touch him.
I played that yesterday. So.
Oh man.
Randy Johnson, that's my kryptonite in any of those baseball games. Trevor Hoffman, impossible to hit.
Yeah,
in those games.
Bugs Bunny change. All right, Nick, who's your past closer?
Okay, I was enthralled with Carlos Marmol. His stuff was insane for 2 years.
Yeah,
his batting average against was ridiculous. But you also shouldn't swing at anything because he never threw a strike. But
that's what made it incredible. He would sneak a fastball on the paint. I think he was throwing high 90s, right?
Yes.
He was at least mid 90s. And then just a ridiculous slurve or slider, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I think one year he had 89 innings and 140 strikeouts.
Yep.
With a crazy good ERA. And I thought the Cubs were going to have the great closer for the next 5 years. And that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But that was part of my youth, the Carlos Marmol years, brief years. And he was a pretty fun to watch. Cool delivery too.
Yeah.
Very tough to hit.
Do you remember, Ryan, that game we were at when he was a starter before they moved into the bullpen?
He was so they were playing the Tigers. This is when interleague play was barely a thing. And they played the Tigers, and he started against Justin Verlander, and he did not throw well. Like, Verlander threw really well. He did not throw well at all. But then it's like, man, but he's got really good stuff. Like, you kept thinking he's got good stuff, and then they moved into the bullpen. I mean, that's what you do. Like, if a guy's got an arm, he's got live stuff. I mean, they will exhaust every opportunity to try to get you on the field. And like that slider, slurve, whatever he threw was like 86, like just nasty movement. Like that's a good one. You forget about him. He's a guy to forget about.
Me and Chris Stilo got his autograph at Cubs convention, and we were like, this is the one that's gonna pay off, right? Because he was nasty. So we got an 8x10. And we're like, framed it. Nope.
Hey, were you guys? Did you guys go to Wrigleyville for the Cubs World Series at all?
No.
Anytime they were playing?
After it was done, I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man. I went down there for 2 games in the World Series, and then the last game they played the Dodgers in the NLCS. Core memory, one of the best top 5 like moments of my life. I actually have a couple of videos on my Instagram. You know, if you guys scroll down far enough, you'll see. Yeah. My buddy had a place in Wrigleyville the night they won. But yeah, I wanted to ask you guys, where were you when that happened? Who were you watching with?
Sweating on our couch, screaming.
Yeah, that was we were definitely definitely at home. Sweating it out. Joe doing all the things that he said he wasn't going to do. And then, like Rashi Davis hitting that home run. It's like, oh my gosh. And then just pandemonium, an hour or so later.
Right.
I like to lock in for those games. So I'm like, all right, I need to be at home in front of the TV before the game starts. Like, I don't like being out and about. I don't want to be at a restaurant or Buffalo Wild Wings. Like, if it's a big game, I want to be there locked in.
Yeah.
But we were not happy. Actually, we stayed home because we wanted to watch it with Dad, right? And Dad wasn't home. He didn't come home until the 6th inning. We're like, what are you doing? Get home. Like,
what are you doing? Get home.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely when there's teams that you like and guys that you like, you definitely lock in for sure. I mean, this year was probably the first year I can remember that I didn't really have a team in it, but I was locked in. I was very engaged just because it was so fun. These teams were both fun. But we're also big Red Sox fans too. And 2018, I did not want to listen to Joe Buck. I watched every pitch, but I listened to music the entire time. I did not want to listen to that guy talk. I either listened to radio or I listened to music the entire time. I watched every single pitch. But
he's got a monopoly. He's got a monopoly on the broadcast, man. You know.
Well, he's
he's so average. So average. I've never really been a fan. But
but
good for him.
When he called the Cubs World Series, when he called that last out, loved it.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. Right? It was great. Yeah.
His voice sounds like, angels singing.
Yes, he's part of it for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
hey, do you mind? I have a quick list here for you of some of the players that have gone through Appleton that I wanted to.
Yeah, 100%. Well, so I went through by year. So from the time you started to right now, I'm like, okay, well, and I was getting deep. I was looking through all the rosters. I'm like, okay, I know that guy. So I want to see who you have and kind of see who I have compared. Yeah.
Sure. So there's more first rounders that I have forgotten than I can remember that have gone through, right? Because half of those guys, honestly, they won't end up making it. And so they don't become household names. But some of the best names, I mean, they're well known in the baseball, but obviously, let's see, Hunter Green.
Yeah. Yep.
Spencer Torkelson, Joe Adell, Jahmai Jones, who's on the Brewers now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But Jahmai was one of the best. I saw him for 5 games. He made 6 diving catches in center field.
Oh, wow.
And he's built like a running back. It's 5'9", 5'10", 230 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tree trunk. And when you're down there and you see him take bats, you see him round first, round second, like just jog in from the infield or from the outfield and make diving catches. You're like, this dude should be like playing for like the Bears or something. Like this dude, like half of these guys are two-sport athletes anyway.
Yeah.
There's a sound that their cleats make when they're grinding the dirt that not many people, like I didn't run that fast. I didn't have the power in my legs, but I'm sure that's when you're on the field level you can hear it, or when they're taking batting practice you can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just a different sound when their legs are churning, especially with those kind of athletes.
Yeah.
So Nick, you mentioned Joe Adell, and that year was 2017 when he was in the Midwest League, and I was going to a lot of games because it was like my first full year in the Grand Rapids area. But Ryan Noda, who's a friend of ours, who's on the Athletics now, he was in the Blue Jays organization at the time, and he's playing in Lansing. So I was probably at like 10 to 12, like between his games and then just Whitecaps games. And like I went to, it was one of Joe Adell's first games when he was with the ZBs, and it was him and Brandon Marsh were the big guys on that team. And I had like my seats were right on the field. Like I was row 1, Joe Adell's standing right there. I have a picture on my Instagram as well. Like guy is 18 years old, looked like a freaking man. And the sound that the ball made when he connected, he hit a couple doubles. But just incredible. I'm really hoping that he finds it in Major League Baseball because I really like him as a player, and I've always liked him as a player. He just needs to figure it out. I kind of put him in the same category as Mr. Buxton, like just incredible, insane high school talent, incredible minor league baseball player, and they just figure it out maybe in their mid-20s. So, but yeah, Joe Adell is a guy I remember in 2017 being like, oh my gosh, like this guy is just like built 6'3", 210, just strong guy.
Yeah, I was just watching him play. It's like, why is he here? We were low A at the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, why is he here? I mean, he's batting 325. I see on the stats on the video board, and it's like mid-season. But yeah, he struggles, and that's crazy how baseball goes. And you know, even Hunter Green. I mean, when I saw him, it was cool because he only pitched 1 inning.
Yeah.
He threw, I think, maybe 15 pitches, struck out the side.
Yeah.
I think he threw just a couple of sliders that were like in the high 80s, but all the fastballs were 99 and above.
Yeah.
And our pitch clock only reads 2 digits.
Yeah.
So sometimes it wasn't reading.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, sweet. Hopefully I get to see Green for a couple innings, but he only threw 1, embarrassed the heck out of our guys. It was just a joke. Like the ball hit the catcher's mitt and these guys are swinging. So that's something I'll never forget is Hunter Green and seeing 100 and seeing him strike out the side in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, then it's crazy to see him in the MLB, and he has like a 5 ERA, and he's hittable, and these guys adjust to it. So that shows you the talent level difference for sure.
Yeah, he needed to simmer more somewhere in minor league baseball.
Yeah, and he's another guy. Like you see glimpses of greatness, and there's a reason why he was taken top 2. Like he was a Cali prep superstar. He was throwing 102 miles an hour in high school. He's hit 103, 104 before. Hopefully, I mean, pitchers, you kind of see like they mature, and a lot of them don't really like come out the gate super hot. Like I think of Max Scherzer. Like Max Scherzer was untamed until he was in his mid-20s, and mid-20s on, he's been incredible, probably the best in the game. So guys like that, you just hope like for their sakes that like they just simmer a little bit, figure it out, maybe make some adjustments to their repertoire, and then pitch some good innings in the real prime of their career and later in their career. It's just fun stuff. I did not get to see him pitch. He ended up, he was like on the injured list that year when they came in town, and I was at like I think I was at a Lugnuts game. But yeah, that fun for sure. Who else?
You know, that's maybe
Alex
Kirilloff. There's
for the Colonels.
A lot of good Twins prospects.
Yeah.
Because the Colonels are really good. They have a winning season every year.
Royce?
I can't remember if I saw Royce. I would have to look back. Cardinals too. Victor Scott.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of Victor Scott II, but he's going to be a stud for the Cardinals.
Okay.
He stole probably like 70 bases in minor league baseball last year.
What about Jeremy's guy? What about Moises?
What did he say? Oh, it was Moises. He's like a he said he's like William Opeña.
Yeah.
Moises Abreu or Moises.
Yeah, it was some combination.
Gosh, Moises Aguilar. Was it Moises Aguilar? Some guy.
I would have to look up.
Hitter.
If I can, use Baseball Reference him and see if he played for Peoria in the past like 5 years, and I probably
It was probably the last 2 years actually, because he's in the system now. So
okay,
yeah, it's funny.
That does sound familiar.
Well, Ryan, closer or you lost?
Oh, so no, I'm not lost when it comes to the past. There's a lot of guys who you think of, guys who have just made an incredible impact, guys who have been on your favorite teams. The guy that I always really liked, especially being a lefty, was Billy Wagner. Billy Wagner was just a freak of an athlete and a freak of a pitcher. This dude was a right-handed pitcher and broke his arm too many times. He was throwing gas with his right hand, couldn't throw right-handed anymore, decided to throw left-handed, was throwing 100 miles an hour. Like, really? I remember him with the Phillies. He was a Red Sox for a short time, ended his career with the Braves, throwing darts. Always liked Billy. He had a nasty slider. Again, used him a lot in video games too, but the slider, four-seam fastball, two-seam fastball, pound in the zone. He was a person who was like as unhittable as you could get. Just hard, like comparable to Craig Kimbrell in the Brave years, where like you just could not touch the guy. Like just nasty stuff. Like 90 innings, 130 strikeouts. Like that kind of talent, that kind of unhittable person. So
he didn't have like a straight fastball too. He didn't have like a two-seamer or that lefty run. At least from the TV point of view, it seemed like he just had a straight like laser of a fastball.
He threw a two-seamer, but he didn't need to. Like his four-seamer was just lightning, and he used it most of the time.
Yeah, that's
one pitch.
He's goated for sure.
Yeah, close second obviously is Mo. I mean, Mo is just.
Well, I didn't like what he was doing because he was doing it for the Yankees, but I can respect him, but I don't like him.
Yeah, respect. Just if I ever had a chance to meet like a baseball player, he'd probably be one that I'd want to meet because he just seems like such a respectable person as well. But yeah, Mo is probably two, but Billy Wagner for sure hit home for me. I was a big Billy fan.
Yeah, same here.
Absolutely. Present day, like I said, it's always hard to do a present, and probably for you, Nick, because you're probably not watching much baseball. I would imagine you're catching up late, like you said, you're getting home late, catching up the next day. I feel like a lot of people we've had on similar thing. They're like, yeah, I have all these memories, but like I'm not invested in the players today as much. But that being said, and I've been kind of picking some older guys because I like the guys that have been around, not necessarily the new guys. For me, it's probably Craig Kimbrell. Just because of what he's done over his career. He got hammered on the Cubs. Did not pitch well.
Yeah.
I was excited when they got him. He had a okay postseason this year. He's kind of getting towards the end, but Craig Kimbrell's a guy that has had a long career, a lot of saves. I liked the way he pitched in Atlanta. Didn't like the way he pitched. Well, at Boston, he was okay, but didn't like the way he pitched at Wrigley. It was kind of just waiting for him to let up the big homers. And another guy is Kenley Jansen, who I did not like for the Dodgers. But I like him for the Red Sox now. But he's a dominant pitcher, and he's really, like Nick was saying, like the one pitch pitcher, kind of really just gonna blow by you. So that's a guy I can appreciate now, and he's a huge freak athlete as well.
Yeah, just the size of a closer. Yeah, like you don't even sometimes you throw that hard, even though they all do. But that's intimidating.
Yeah,
someone's 6'6" out there.
Remember Jason Mott used to just throw that one fastball?
Yeah.
He do it every time. And it's like finally, like 5 years later, the Cubs are like, oh yeah, he just throws a fastball every time.
But that thing was straight. Like Kenley Jansen throws like a bowling ball, like breaking bats all day. He was a catcher. He used to be a catcher. But you figure it out. I mean, if you're a good enough athlete in baseball and you have a couple tools, they will find a spot for you. And you have to. It might take reinventing yourself a couple times. Wilson Contreras was a shortstop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of closers, Jacob Mizorowski. Have you guys heard of that name?
Yes. I have heard of that name. He's one of the Brewers' top prospects, and I heard he throws gas.
Yep. Saw him with us last year, and he struck out the side at the Futures game. So I think he was throwing 99 to 100, topped out 102.
Woo!
So he could be the Brewers' future closer, and they're just getting these studs.
Yeah.
Always turning out the next one. Always ready for the next
he's
one.
like 30. He's like 36. He's like number 36 overall. Yeah. Like he's legit. I mean,
that Futures game bumped him.
Yeah. But I mean, man, with him and Churio and that Jefferson Caro, man, is really good as well. He's way up there too. So they're scary. They're a scary team if you're in the Central.
Yeah, it's weird. I know the Brewers so well, but I feel so distant from the Cubs organization and their prospects. I got a request to take photos of Triantos I have some friends over in South Bend. Yeah. And so when they played us and in Wisconsin, they're like, hey, can you grab pictures of Triantos and send them over? And I was like, who? Yeah. But he would be like equivalent to like, someone I would be like hyping up. Like, the Brewers I would know well, but so they almost seemed like another team, to be honest. I still love the Cubs, but the Cubs minor league system is like, the Brewers minor league system's like opponent and enemy.
Yeah.
So it's a strange like dichotomy there, but still Cubs, but I'm pretty partial to the Brewers.
Yeah. Well, again, dude, like this is like your job. So it's like, and you just told us the insane schedule that you work, like not only like in the off season, but like, I mean, you're always on. And if you're working 70 to 80 hours a week at times, like you don't have time to do anything but sleep. Like you're at work and this is your work. And like, it's your job to be interested and to know these players that you're working with. So like no one faults you for not being like, even when we were talking with my buddy Joe, who has his own bat company, like Joe is so immersed in his craft that like he lives in Pittsburgh and he barely goes to any games. It's hard for him to keep up. We had a lot better of a time, me and Brandon and him, just reminiscing about the past because like he just doesn't have time. He's a business owner. He's busy working on his stuff. So yeah, I mean, you gotta kind of focus on where the work is. But in your situation, like you're with an exciting organization with exciting players, so that's great.
Yeah, they're on the up. It's not the Brewers of old. So, let me be your Brewers insider.
Yeah,
find some more info.
We were just saying that we're like, do we have a Brewers insider? Because we have Cardinals. We have John Schenning does the White Sox for us. Like, there you go. Here we go.
Yeah.
Brewers.
Oh yeah, hit me up anytime. You want to know what's this guy about? Who's the top 5 right now? Like, who's knocking on the door, or who's the best AA or AAA player? Like, I know that because it's just you know it by osmosis. Like when you are in and around the dugout and got to do like all these player things. So
yeah,
Lord knows the Cubs aren't making any moves. So
no,
no, it's not too exciting. The Brewers organization's like more exciting. In my opinion.
For sure, 100%.
Right now,
definitely.
Well,
I would current for me, and it's tough because I feel like there are some dominant guys, and there's a lot of talent throughout the league. We did catchers a couple weeks ago when we were last on, and it was harder for me to pick someone current just because there's a lot of good guys, but not necessarily people that I super connect with. I would say an intriguing and exciting guy who I saw late in the season. I was actually at Comerica for Miggy's last series that he played, like the last Friday, and they were playing the Indians, and I got to see Emmanuel Clase pitch, and that guy is, like This is like easy 102, and then he throws a cutter that's like 100. Like he just throws so hard and so much movement. And yeah, I mean, he's tough. Jansen is another one. I really like Jansen, especially being a Red Sox. We're not Dodger fans on here. They're a tough organization to like. But yeah, I would say right now it's Clase just because of the just crazy stuff that he has.
Yeah, I'll have to look into him. Yeah, I don't know that name.
Yeah, he's fairly new within the last couple of years.
He'll be the guy that the Yankees trade for at the trade deadline.
Yeah, probably.
Anyone for you, Nick, or you don't watch enough, right? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't. Yeah. I just catch highlights on Twitter and
Devin
coworkers telling me, "Did you see that?" Yeah, current Devin for sure.
Devin's nice.
Funny story. Me, my coworkers, and Devin, and some of the players, they go out and like party downtown Appleton if they're of age, right? If they're 21, so we'll see them out at the bars, like literally right outside where I live. I live in a downtown setting, and me and a couple of my coworkers met up with the players, not intentionally, but we just end up at the same place, see him every now and then. And Devin Williams was there, and he ended up, hitting it off with one of my coworkers, and they kind of hung out that night. But so have the players every now and then, and Devin, he's a funny guy. Like closers have that ability that they're quirky. They have to be a weird personality to go into the ninth and get a save. Devin just has like a swagger, and he just doesn't care. Like he doesn't care who you are. He doesn't care if you're Mike Trout. He doesn't care, or if he's going to treat like Mike Trout and then a rookie the same. He's going to throw him the same filth, and he just has that awesome confidence. And he's kind of like a relaxed guy as well. So I like Devin. Obviously a little biased because I've seen him a lot, but good stuff.
It's cool when and again, closers are known for just throwing hard and having the nasty slider, the nasty curveball. It's refreshing to see a guy whose best pitch is a changeup. And you look back at some of the greats, like Trevor Hoffman threw that Bugs Bunny changeup. Eric Gagne had that filthy circle change that he threw. Devin's got the airbender. That's his best pitch. He's capable of throwing 97 miles an hour, but he wants to throw that off speed. He wants to make you look stupid with that changeup. He throws a breaking ball as well, but the changeup's his bread and butter. He'll throw that at any count, any time, any situation, any hitter. That's what he wants to throw. And it's I go back to high school. That's the pitch that you're first taught to develop, is that changeup. And the fact that he is run with that and is doing it at the highest level. He's probably one of the best in the game. I would say top 2 or 3 in the game. But the fact that he's using that changeup so effectively is just cool to see, because it's just not something you see often from closers.
Yeah, he struggled a little bit with the T-Rats. Same scenario with Corbin. You didn't think he was going to be who he is. The Brewers striking lightning in a bottle sometimes with these players. But they're good at recognizing these players or these pitchers that they can put at the back end of their bullpen for cheap. They don't have to go buy and pay for a closer. They're trying to develop them. They're trying to find someone through their analytics or their spin rate, right, who just got an insane pitch, and then just keep working on it, and then just throw them out there and see people get it. And so they kind of did. So, yeah, he's pretty rare case of coming out of nowhere, right, and being winning an award, a couple of awards in Major League Baseball. That's wild.
For sure. Yeah, being at the top of his craft too.
Well, we want to thank Nick again for coming on. This is a lot of fun. And you're our Brewers insider now. That's fun.
Let's go.
Even though he's a Cubs fan, Brewers insider officially.
Yes.
But yeah, again, thanks for your time, and we'll definitely have you on again when you're not so busy. I know this is probably a better time than mid-season, but we should probably get up to a game, right? We haven't been to that.
Yeah, Nick, it would, again, like Brandon said, it is an absolute pleasure. This has been an incredible conversation. So much knowledge you have, not only about what you do, but just like, again, you're a baseball junkie like us. And we reiterate this over and over. Like, that's why we're doing this. We're not doing this for any reason other than that we love talking about baseball with people who love talking about baseball. So yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on. And 100%, like, again, my friend, I miss you. I do miss you 100%. Would love to see you again. I know, and we will. Like, we will.
I heard batting practice. That's what I heard. So
yeah.
You guys, hey, guys, you guys are always welcome. Yeah. It'd be awesome if you guys can make your way to Wisconsin. I'll take the game off. We'll hang out all night. You know, I won't be working. Yeah. So,
well, I'm probably about an hour from Appleton. I'm in Milwaukee area, but
okay. Yeah.
I mean, Brandon's close, and I shoot over for the weekend all the time. I'm not really that far away either. So yeah, we'll connect and we'll make it work. But yeah, 100% would love to do that. Would love to see what Appleton's all about. I've never spent any time there, but I've heard it's a really great place.
Yeah, maybe we can make it a weekend, or if it's just a game, that'll be awesome. You guys are welcome. I'll give you a tour of the ballpark, whole 9 yards, awesome. And take your own Appleton and get you on the field. Maybe you can throw around on the field too. But
sick. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. And hit me up in season too. I'd love to do this again. Catch up, see how the season's going and how Major League Baseball season's going. So anytime. Yeah, thanks guys.
Awesome.
100%, Nick. Awesome.
Well, thanks again. Yeah, boots come in pairs. I think you remember that game, right, Nick? Do you remember the?
I heard you guys talk about it.
Yeah, that was the Chris Lake South game. Yeah.
Yep. That was a great playoff game.
Yeah.
I made a clutch catch, maybe a throw to first at second base. I did my part.
Yes. Yeah, and we won. We got to win.
All right. Thanks to Ryan Tolson.
Well, again, thanks for coming on. It's easy.
All right.
See you guys. Take care.